Yeah, it would have worked. Now we're on.
There we go.
Oh,
And
Saturday evening once again.
you guys can see my Twitter is actually open on the other monitor rather than our friends.
what's happening?
Weird gingerbread RPG ad.
There we go.
I am weird. Something. Oh, there I go.
There it is. What's up, boys?
Steve still got the picture
boys.
going on.
Yeah, that works. This is a good layout. I like it.
Yeah, it's simple.
No.
Yeah, background's a little bit Three Wolf shirt, but that's all right.
Got a good font over there. All right. Or,
Yeah, slap that.
Yeah.
Slap that bad boy together.
Welcome to Saturday night at the virtual gaming diner.
Virtual gaming diner.
Once again, our friend Gugon joins us, and he'll probably be joining us as frequently as he wants. Because dividing things into quarters is much easier than dividing things into thirds. But M&Ms. I got my water, and yeah. But yeah, episode 4, back in my day. Mikey, go ahead, take it away. What are we doing?
I'm the
What
youngest
is it
guy
about?
here. I'm the youngest guy here, so there's no reason that we should start with my back in my day stories.
We'll give the overview. Give the overview.
Well, yeah, I mean, today we're going to talk a bit about the trials and tribulations that us fossilized ass gamers had to deal with growing up into a world that was not really on board with it yet. You know, now you young kids are like, oh yeah, no, I play Call of Duty, and you go to school and you know, imagine not getting beat up for playing video games. That must be awesome. I mean, don't get me wrong, kids deal with a lot of their own bullshit, but
Yep.
gaming isn't the same as it was.
I don't think I'm not sure if you would get beaten up for it, but you definitely get called out for being a nerd.
Well,
back in
one
the
thing
day.
kind of leads to the other indirectly. Like I wasn't gonna
Does.
beat that guy up, but I heard on the internet or through the messenger ravens or whatever it is we used back in our day. I heard through those that guy's a nerd. So maybe
Folded up notes kick through football goals.
Yeah, right.
Here's a nod to my old cyberpunk group, Cups and String.
Cups and strings. Yeah, I think you definitely would get beaten up if they found out you play Dungeons and Dragons. Like Stranger Things glorifies it like it was some acceptable thing. It definitely wasn't.
Well, that's why
No,
there's no other characters on the show.
Yeah.
Because the real horror
actually,
would be guys like Steve Harrington beating the shit out of those kids.
Yeah,
stealing
exactly.
lunch money.
That's a good point. And I mean, it's nice that they don't ever bring up how, like, you never see the characters or the kids go through the pitfalls of being a gamer. I mean, yeah, they defend, like, you know, the mall and stuff like that in the first 2 seasons. They have their own other adventures, but like, and it's not like a reality based kind of thing, but
Right.
so I mean, it would be kind of crummy to see that. It might turn people off to it, but no, yeah, back in the day, it was like you didn't like localize it. I don't.
They just
You were nerds, like you were nerds, and it was when, like, you know, Revenge of the Nerds, that was a movie because it was a topic, and
exactly.
like pretty much that. Luckily, the person that got me into D&D was shoot, I forget his name. Anyways, he was at the end of my street, and so like he'd come over after school, and he had the red box, and he just started me out with like the basic red box Dungeons and Dragons, and he started talking to me about, like, here's how it is. He made me help me build a character, and then I would just fight monsters one-on-one, and gradually he would incorporate more and more. And then I think I got my own red box set. Yeah, that was but yeah, we were gonna do like a sort of a round table. I don't know. We just kind of figured out, let's grab a booth and just talk and see what the hell comes up.
Kind of think like, do you remember back when you had to have your TV on the right channel to
Channel
get
3 or
4 to
something.
get your and I remember channel 3 was the TV guide channel for me, the one that would just scroll and show you the TV schedule, and then channel 4 was NBC.
For us, channel 3 was one of like 12 channels on the dial, and then there was channel U, which was UHF, and you had to rotate that shit all the way around, then adjust the slider for the Atari.
Yeah. Do you actually remember, like, later on, like, by the time Nintendo came around, a lot of the RF connectors you could hook them right up to the cable input
Yep,
too?
just right on the back.
But before, you used to have the two little, like, spade ends, and you'd have to screw them into where the antenna of the
Hey,
TV went. Yeah,
remember having to screw them in,
yeah.
not just plug them in.
Screw it in and mess with
Every
it if
time,
it
every
doesn't have
time
a
you wanted
good
to play,
connection. Yeah,
because like if you didn't have cable, you still had rabbit ears, and
yeah.
the rabbit ears screwed into the contacts where the Atari went, and
Yeah.
so it's like, uh-oh, you want to watch the news, turn off the Atari, and you're like, frig.
Bluetooth. It was Bluetooth. Yeah, that was good stuff.
Back in our gamer days, you didn't have guys who are live on the internet right now, but also on their phone trying to get people to come hang out with them on the internet.
True. Very,
Like,
very,
oh, I
very
forgot
true.
to tell Discord we should all hang out. Come hang out on stream. We make a point of interacting with chat, so come hang out. Yeah, so you guys kind of cracked the surface there with D&D, and my experience with that is not the same. I didn't get into it until I was probably 18, 19 years old, playing some stupid. I told you earlier today, my first DM had me playing a psionicist, and it was like, what's
There's
that
something to
mean?
cut your teeth on in second
Oh, that
ed.
was
Jesus.
yesterday. Yeah, no, with Sweat. Sweat's like, what is a psionicist? I want to be a psionicist. I am one. He just
Yeah.
decided. It was fucking hilarious, but
Was
I don't have a history in tabletop gaming. I played HeroQuest and Dragon
HeroQuest
Strike.
was dope.
Dragon Strike was good. Dragon Strike is a little more low key, like a little easier to digest, I think. Like it was meant to be more story driven, but HeroQuest was pretty hardcore.
Was
Like,
Dragon Strike the TSR one? The actual, like, with the
videotape?
with the
yeah, I
video.
remember it had the
Yeah.
VCR tape and the
With that dude was like,
Manticore.
you are the
Yeah.
dungeon master. And he's like a
Yeah.
floating head with a black shirt. And he
Yeah.
had like the Billy Joel hair back when we all thought that shit was cool.
Yeah.
No offense to Billy Joel. You are the piano man.
The really awful Manticore, which was like the
Dude,
Oh my
man
god.
scorpion, I
the
guess.
man scorpion, or how they killed it, they jumped up and grabbed its stinger and like stuck it in its shoulder. And are you just chugging milk on stream? When the...
Hey, Loaf. You want to come up and see the camera?
Oh my
No,
god.
do not pick me up.
I made chocolate milk.
He's making it in his belly.
Here, bud.
Yeah, I realized the jug would be awkward. I also have coffee.
That's funny.
Say hello.
So it was funny too, because they're like, check it out, the dwarf jumped up, or whoever it was, and stabbed the man scorpion with his own stinger, and
Yeah.
there's no
It
way
died.
to do that in the game. Like, the game doesn't allow for that at all.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't like D&D where you can kind of improvise, like, oh, do a roll with this modifier, whatever. You can do that stuff and make it work with your imagination. This was just like, if you hit them, you do 1 damage, and if you don't hit them, you don't do any damages. And it's like, how the fuck did you just one-shot that guy? You made all the green, you made all the fucking slime off of Nickelodeon. You can't do that on television. Come out of his arm.
Yeah, there was a whole nother problem with that game, or games like that had like a VHS tape that you would use too, because then you would have to try to like take over the TV at your house. Like, good luck.
Well, luckily you didn't need. Oh yeah.
That
Luckily
is true.
with Dragon Strike you didn't need it. It was a tutorial. There's something in my eye. With Dragon
Your
Strike
finger.
you didn't need it. Oh, it is now. There's 2 things in my eye. You didn't need it.
These nuts.
Dude,
When you first get it though, when you got that thing and it smells like new plastic, and you got the VHS tape, and you're like, yeah, we're gonna
Mom,
play this.
does China actually smell like this? It's like, no, it doesn't. But it
And
might. It might.
you got all your friends over on Sunday afternoon, and like you're like go in the living room. Your dad just strolls in with a beer in his hand. He's like, "Get out of here! I'm watching a game."
Like, fuck.
You guys had friends?
Yeah,
Steve, you're also super loud.
Weird.
I mean, that's
Weird.
not weird.
He's not loud. He's not loud for me.
Really? Okay.
You might have him turned up on your.
Bear with me here. There's going to be some weirdness on the frames, maybe. I do have him turned up. I'm sorry. Your volume is fine.
Huh.
But that means if I have him up loud, he's loud on stream. You're fine.
Hero Quest. Biggest problem for me was finding people to play it with me.
yeah.
That's a good question. Does that exist in any sort of fun format now?
It's like
What?
$300 on eBay.
No. Just like did they
Did they ever
Is
make
there
a
a
like a
digital
virtual?
version?
like a
Hero Quest.
VTT
Yeah,
for a
Hero
Hero
Quest Tower Conflict. There we go.
Kind of cool.
Mostly. Oh god, that looks oh no, that looks terrible, and
It
it
looks
has
bad. I
awful
gotta see
ratings.
it.
No,
I'm betting it doesn't hold up.
it's not.
Yeah,
It's called. It's just called Hero Quest, but they just stole the name.
yeah.
Oh,
Ugh.
remember how I was talking earlier about people not respecting intellectual property rights? Even we
Yeah.
use our own personally designed art for this show. Just look at Steve. That's art.
He's created. He's
I
the
try
only
not
one so far that has created legitimate content. Like he's done artwork. I might have to do mine one day. We'll rotate every week. One of us has to
Draw
make a Windows
themselves.
Paint.
Hey man, I was drawing a bunch of tree assets this week and mushrooms.
So apparently, Milton Bradley is re-releasing Hero Quest next year,
Yeah, why
potentially.
wouldn't they?
Oh
Get money.
boy,
Who's gonna
Yeah.
play? What is it? What's the audience for that? Us.
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
That's it.
We can set up a
we're just gonna
if we
play
want to
5e.
if we want to play Hero Quest, we could all gather around a table and put the camera above the table and go from there. But actually,
Who's-
it's probably on Tabletop Simulator.
I guarantee you could find a VTT
Yeah,
of it in some way.
It wouldn't be the same anyway. Like that game, I think required the minis and the.
it was a
What's
lot
the
of fun. Like
what
You
was
had to
the
like.
newer one that you play, Brian, with that's like fast combat and like it's like designed to be able to complete in like an hour and a half game.
Warhammerquest.
Yeah, that's what it was, Quest.
that's
Warhammerquest.
Or you're thinking
that's
about
not a
Gloomhaven, which is much newer.
Gloomhaven is much newer. Warhammer Quest is not a quick game.
No.
And that game, the tales about that game is it's not exactly nostalgia because like the game itself is old and like, but that was another here. It was like Heroes of Might and Magic in board game form. That's exactly what it was.
Oh yeah.
You would just get effed over 6 ways from Tuesday.
You could
Like
literally die outside the
traveling to
dungeon on the
town.
way on a random encounter chart, and
Yeah.
like
You're going to town. You're traveling back to town, and like a landslide unearths like a lamp. Do you rub it, or like a genie pops out, and then like, oh, blah blah blah. Roll a d6. I rolled a 6. You die. That's it. You're gone. You're done.
yeah, your level 9 fighter like
Yep.
is in town. Roll for an encounter. Somebody bumps into you and challenges you to a duel for being rude. Roll a d6 to see what happens. 1. He kills you in
He
the duel.
kills
Make a
you.
new character.
Like just some random guy, some random drunk ass in a bar kills you. Like the 9th level seasoned ass warrior.
It's like the roguelike of board games.
It
Like
really was. You're
you don't
right. Because
Yeah.
I'll
just don't
just
get attached.
GNC and I'll just GNC in the town, and there was no pretense of role playing. Because it's just like, hey, we're gonna go to the Fire Lord's pit. Do you want to go? By rights, no, I shouldn't want to go because like I'm a level 1 dude. You overlooked that and you went and you cursed the hell out of the game.
It's like if you were playing Dragon Strike in the Borderlands universe. That's what it was like. It was just chaos and just psychos everywhere and shit's on fire and
They released it on Steam, PC and other platforms, but it's only single player. How do you overlook that? How do you not put multiplayer into a multiplayer board game?
For the
Yeah.
Warhammer Quest game?
Yep. No multiplayer. Or last time I checked, there was no multiplayer.
Oh, that's odd.
So, we did a little bit of talk about tabletop games. Now, what's interesting about old ass video games is just things were so different.
Mm-hmm.
Just like I don't even own games anymore, like physical media at all. Like, and I don't want
That's
to. I don't want to. If, if you own it physically and you don't own it digitally, then I'm worried about breaking it. That was a real thing back in the day. Like, oh, you scratched your Mist CD, well, you're done. Go buy a new one.
Yep. You lend it to someone and it comes back damaged.
Yep. I was actually just reminiscing with Google the other day about Command and Conquer Generals, and I'd
Yep.
love to stream it, but like it's not. You have to get like the super ultimate complete package from EA, and I don't want to spend $90 for a game I already own, but like it's on CD. And
Yeah, that's what I
would you
said.
say you were like you go into the store asking for a CD drive?
Yeah.
I think this guy's crazy.
You
Like,
said you still had it on CD, and I was like, "Oh, do you have a CD? Do you have a DVD ROM drive?" And you're like,
oh,
"No." I'm
no.
like, "Oh, have fun with that."
I remember when my first friends got got CD burners. I'm like, what?
Mm-hmm.
Madness.
Like, you can
Kid I
make me
knew
a
growing up.
copy of that Kid Rock album? That's fucking dope.
I always wanted a light scribe. I never got one, but I always wanted one because you could flip the disc over and just burn whatever image you wanted into for a label. Oh,
It's not too late.
Kid I
it's
knew
not.
growing up had a worm drive back when we were still using 5 1/4 floppies. Like
That's right.
real
CD-ROMs
early.
were called worms, like
Yeah.
way back in the day.
Yeah.
Write once, read many.
Yeah. Kid Ryan. His dad was some kind of programmer or something.
And then there's
I didn't even have a regular CD player yet, I don't think. Shit. That's how long it
well,
was.
adopting new media types like that always seemed a bit foolhardy for me, at least in my opinion, because like I remember when Laserdisc came out, for example, and like if it's not like a top tier Hollywood film, it's not going on Laserdisc. You're not getting a Laserdisc release for every movie. Like,
Yeah.
you can't see, oh, that new movie I saw, whatever, Flight of the Navigator. If they don't release it on that platform, you have a paperweight.
Yeah. Well, I think that was something that you started to see like even far before our time with like 8-track cassettes and stuff. Like when they were trying to change the audio media, and then they had the 8-track, and then that was like a flash in the pan, and then cassettes, and then no one wanted to switch to cassettes, and then by the time everyone got to cassettes, it was CD time.
What was it? What was your first cassette? I mean, it's
I
My
I
remember
had
very
mine.
computer
first
I had
cassette,
I
I
had
remember
computer
mine too.
games on cassette, so I can kind of throw that into the gaming category. Whether it
Oh
was a
yeah,
game
that's what I
or
was gonna
audio,
say.
what was your first cassette? Like,
Oh, see, I never thought about that because I had cassettes for my Commodore VIC-20.
me too. For my 64, I had 2 cassettes
Uh,
and they each had like 4 or 5 games on them. It was awesome.
yeah. Um, but audio cassette, like first music cassette I ever owned was Guns N' Roses, Appetite for Destruction.
That's quality.
My first
Yeah,
one was Ozzy Osbourne's Blizzard of Oz.
nice.
Steve, what was yours?
He doesn't remember.
I don't want to say.
No,
Oh,
That's
come
fine.
on. Come
no,
on.
you're hiding right now behind the thing I'm pointing at on my screen that you can't see, so nobody will judge you in the
Okay.
street.
Okay. You got to remember, this wasn't something I purchased for myself. This was something somebody random gave me at a
Okay.
birthday party. But
But
it
it's
was
your
a
first
Paul.
one, so
But it was my first one, and it was like in elementary school, and someone gave me a Paula Abdul tape.
That's
like
so. That's so.
you're like, thanks. I don't
What's
like
wrong with
this.
that?
Thanks, I hate it.
Why would you possibly be ashamed of that? She's a fuck. She was, especially then. She was a fucking savage, man.
It's just not something I would have purchased
You
for
were,
myself.
I would never have
What was the
bought
first
Ozzy
one you
Osbourne
bought for
at the
yourself?
time.
Like my first was a Bon Jovi, "Slippery When Wet."
Nice.
The first album, I never bought a cassette. Never, not once.
Damn.
By the time I bought an album, it was CDs, and
Yeah, same.
I had a Discman that would plug into the tape deck in my Thunderbird, and it would skip constantly, and it had to run on batteries. And it's like I will go to great lengths to listen to a CD in my car, and I bought Live's Mental Jewelry, which is their first studio album.
So from the chat, blowing in the cartridges for your consoles. That's the only thing I was aware of for Nintendo was like blowing it or maybe rub a Q-tip over it. Were there any finicky things with like the Master System or the ColecoVision with cartridges where you had to like, I don't know, fucking dump Kool-Aid in it or something like
I think we
to
all
get?
blew in the Genesis and the Master System
Just a
too.
little. I mean,
I think we
Those
did.
those were nowhere near as bad because they loaded vertically.
Yeah.
All
Because the
right.
problem with the
Yep.
Nintendo was that because the cartridge went in horizontal, it would just push the connector inside
Yeah.
farther and farther back, and especially every time you'd slam it in, which we would all do
Because you
because
get
it
angry at
worked.
it.
You get
Fine,
angry
one
at it,
more
but
try.
putting it in harder made it actually work that
Yeah.
one
Yep.
time, but made it worse the next time. You just
Which
push
was
the connector farther and farther away.
the crazy thing about
I
that
never knew
is
the
that
mechanics of that. That's cool.
the Japanese version was like a Sega. It wasn't like what we got.
Right, it
Yeah,
top loaded it.
they top loaded too. I don't know why the
And
Nintendo.
even when they did the like retro NES or they released the NES like console 2,
Hmm?
it was just a
Mhm.
straight top load. They're like, we
Yeah.
Yeah.
don't we're done with that fuckery.
Well,
Like,
they actually designed. I remember watching some things on that, and they actually had designed that horrible thing to fit with your regular, like your TV VCR stereo setup. They wanted that same box front look
yeah.
that had the
Oh,
familiar like load, like you used to have a
8
Betamax
track
or
would load
VHS.
like
Like,
that. Yeah.
yeah, remember some of the old VCRs used to they would pop
Yep.
up on the top, and you
So
would
that's
actually
what they were going for, was like this can
that's
stay on your
that's
entertainment console.
yep, that's exactly
Nice.
what it was from.
It's a bad design, but at least it actually has some sense to it.
dude, you know what I did more than blowing into them was the wiggle.
Yeah, yep,
Put
absolutely.
put them in, press it down, press the button. It does. There's no
You
load
ever
time. This is something that non-console players, or I mean even modern console players especially, will have no idea about because I know you guys deal with huge load times and PC Master Race, but uh,
can we say that
Huge
anymore?
loads.
it's not my favorite expression, I guess. But in context, I think it's all
We're
right.
we're good. The subreddit hasn't been banned. We're okay. Like,
Okay, good.
No, that's true. That's true. So, co- um, those old consoles, 8-bit and 16-bit consoles, had no load times. None. Everything was instant. You plug it in. By the time I mean, the NES power button had like a quarter inch of travel. By the time that button was in, you'd know on your screen whether it was working or not.
Right.
yep.
Well, it was actually an SSD in all intents and purposes, just reading directly from the ROM.
Yep.
There was no spin up. There was no
It was
tape
all solid
or anything like
solid
that. It was all
state.
solid state. Yeah. So, I mean, they didn't have storage solutions back then. That's why, like, you
No.
remember, like, us. That's why you'd have to either do codes with the Nintendo. I think Super Nintendo didn't even have a. Some discs had, or not discs. God, it sounds
Carts.
even harder.
Cartridges.
But some
They had like a
cartridges
battery. Yeah.
would have a
Some
save in it, like Final
hell
Fantasy had saves.
like Zelda had a save.
Yeah,
But yeah,
Final
other
Fantasy
ones,
did.
a lot of them had a password system because it was
yeah.
Just
cheaper than adding a
skip
battery to the
you. It
cartridge.
would just like skip you to various parts of the game. Like,
Yeah,
Metroid,
yeah.
Mega Man.
Oh my
yeah,
God, some games had the most
so
obnoxious
bad.
passwords. It's like, yeah, get ready to write this down. And if you wrote it down wrong, is that a 1 or an I?
Yeah,
You might as well just start your stupid game over.
Yep.
Screw
And the
you.
thing's like 30,
You couldn't
32 digits long, and you have to enter it with
With the
move
controller.
with the controller, move over, scroll up, scroll down, scroll up, scroll
uh,
down. You have to go
and
through the
there was
alphabet, capital, lowercase, numbers,
And do you know what that helped
symbols.
with later in life was what was it, the T9 text method where you had to like cycle
Yeah,
through
yeah,
the
yeah,
like beep beep
yeah,
beep 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 beep.
yeah,
not to mention there was no way to test if you had it right
Exactly.
without leaving the screen.
yeah. Nowadays, we would just take a picture of it with our phone, right? I mean, we have
Yep.
storage solutions
I
now,
mean, I'm
so
just gonna play it on an emulator instead, and
Use a save state.
Using save state.
yeah.
but that, I mean, like that's another thing too. I'm gonna talk about a game that I played back in the day, and we'll play it on stream at some point. I think I own it legally, and I think maybe we'll do it this week. Speaking of that, we have to change days. The World of Warcraft guild that half of us are part of are we're gonna be raiding on Wednesdays, so that takes half of us out. That's not to say there won't be anything on Wednesday. Maybe we can come up with something. But we're gonna be moving the. Oh, that's coming. We're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about Game Genie, but
We're gonna move the Wednesday night.
the gaming session.
Yeah, we're gonna move the Wednesday night to another night. That's not saying like there's not gonna be content Wednesday nights. Like I'm spitballing like I don't know, playing something for a couple hours or whatever, but like the main,
And I'm gonna open up something to the 5
Saturday night's
viewers
good.
here right now. We're gonna be doing this for a while. We're not planning on going anywhere. So
There's 5
right,
viewers, but 3 of them are us.
yeah, I know.
There's
So
way more people in chat though, so I don't know why that is.
Oh, that's weird.
so anyway, if these guys want to do like a D&D night or something like that on a Tuesday, there are opportunities for you guys to get in on the ground floor. If you want to hang out, maybe be a part of the games or something like that. When we play multiplayer games, if you want to be in it, and I mean the real bonus is that we get to hang out. That's my favorite part. But it might be fun to be on the internet, even if it's only for a handful of people. So just keep an eye out for opportunities like that. I'm not making any promises or anything, but that's stuff like that's on the table. We're building something from the ground up here, and nothing's set in stone. So anyway, I'm sorry about that tangent. It's been a weird day. I played a game on the Genesis called Kid Chameleon. Did you guys ever dabble with that?
I actually played it last week on
Did you?
the Genesis that master pack that we bought a couple weeks ago. Yeah, and
Oh, it's in there.
it's a straight up emulator too because it has save states. You can just save at any time that you want.
Well, that's
But yeah,
what I'm getting to.
Mhm.
That was a game my family would play. We'd hand the controller off every level,
Nice.
and it's long. It's a platformer, but it is not only is it long, it's very very hard. It's like
Phrasing? Are we doing phrasing still?
yeah, okay. We can do phrasing there, but so I mean, I'm talking about the game would take you, even an experienced gamer, it'd take you 2 or 3 hours probably to get through it. If I had to guess, probably 2. Some of the levels at the end are just ridiculous. They're so hard,
Yeah.
and during that time you amass continues and extra lives and stuff like that. So the game drags on as long as it kind of needs to, but there was never a save. So if you wanted to commit to a game like that, this is an experience gamers will never have again. If you wanted to have that and try to beat it, you needed to
That's your
block
night.
out
Rest
3
of the week.
hours
Yep.
to account for, oh, I need to pause to take a pee or whatever it is you needed to do or grab a snack. Like you needed to block out that much time because you could be in the 4th act of 4 and the levels are like blistering, like thumb blisteringly hard. You can't figure out where to go. You're getting killed by dragons. Actually, in that game, the thing most likely to kill you is the clock. But we all know how AVGN feels about games with clocks. Um, so uh, yeah, no, it's not something you're ever gonna have to do again. Like at any given point, the worst thing you're gonna
Oh,
lose I mean, in fact, roguelikes have emerged, right, from that. Those are
Big fan.
games where there is no saving. You're
Right.
Are you
You
about
play
to
until you
lose?
die.
Just
Like
jump in the lava. Like, oh, I have a guest come over to my house. Jump in the lava. It's inconsequential.
Yeah.
Was not always the case, and I'm sure there's a ton of different examples of that.
I would leave the
you know,
game on.
speaking of
Yeah, it's leaving the game on. I would play Super Mario Brothers 3. I was at my grandmother's house
Yep.
and I'd almost gotten to the end of the game, but it was time for dinner. I left it on. I disconnected it. I turned off the TV, disconnected it so other people could watch the game while they were eating, and I was going to play it later after everyone went home, and then I come back and like,
It's
what
off.
happened? I'm like, oh, I turned it off because you weren't using it.
like
What?
no, it was I left it on for a reason.
No.
Yeah.
You're wasting electricity.
Wasted
Yeah.
electricity.
Electricity is a
Always
waste.
a favorite.
Just, just play it again. I mean, what? You don't understand how games work.
Grandma, you're gonna get me back to World 8, and I'm not getting you your fucking Metamucil till you do it.
I hid your walker. Tell me when you're an 8-3.
Just wheelchair grandma right into the room. Set the
I'll be
brake.
sitting here eating Werthers,
Put a
eating your supply of Werthers.
maintaining eye contact, chewing on your Werthers. I'm not even gonna suck on them. I'm just gonna crunch them up right in front of you.
No. Oh God,
And I'm gonna
no.
put a cinder
Ugh.
block
Love
behind your
Werther's.
wheels. You're in my world now,
Cinder
grandma.
Blade. You're stuck here.
Get the do you ever have the strawberry ones, the candies that look like little strawberries
Yeah,
wrapped up
Yeah,
with the
yep.
shells inside of
The
them? Yeah.
the
love
foil
those.
was like red and green. Those were
Oh,
great. My grandmother was she loved Munson's, and so she would always like if she knew the grandkids were coming over, she'd go to Munson's and fill the candy bowl with like stuff from there. So it's like fudge and like the stupid mint candies. We're like, oh my god,
Dude, I
so
know they
good.
get hated on, but my grandfather, who I basically never met. I never met my granddad on my dad's side, and on my mom's side, he passed away when I was very young. I think I showed him. I think he was in the hotel. Dear God, I think he was in the hospital room, and I showed him my karate moves because I'd just seen the first Karate Kid movie, and I was like 4. So I was like, this is gonna be cool, and I didn't understand the gravity of that situation at the time, obviously, but um, he was a big fan, and I remember this clearly of the glass jar with the green, like wintergreen gummies with the hard sugar on the outside.
oh yeah.
Yep.
Those are so good, and then I found out later in life that there are orange ones. And if you
Ew.
haven't tried, no, 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 no. If you
They're
haven't,
good.
oh
They're called
yeah,
orange slices.
yep, dude. If you want to get the beatus in a classy way,
Uh,
then because those are refined man's candy. That's
I eat
candy
those by
from
the
the
tub.
greatest generation. Werther's. We were
what
just
was
talking about that the other day. I don't
what was
do hard candy ever since I watched my brother almost die to a root beer barrel,
oh
but like,
that's a weird thing. My sister or somebody in my family choked on a root beer barrel. I don't know if it was like my sister or a parent, but like they were choking, and then it was like, nah, we're all set with like those because choking's not fun.
dude,
Um,
I was like,
Some people are into it.
all
oh
right, all
well, I
right,
mean,
all right, get a hose. Go
that's
right,
the
Get a
that's the
hose.
Sunday night show.
go, yeah,
We'll do that. That'll be the Sunday post church show. So come tune in tomorrow after
yeah,
church. And
yeah. No, Steve will be blaspheming all over the place.
we'll get you loaded up for next Sunday.
But for tonight, we're gonna have him put his lower half in the cold part of the faucet. Just all of it. Just run the water. Um, no, I do
I'll go
my.
to horny jail.
Yes, that's where you belong. My brother,
Bonk.
my brother was purple. He was choking on it, like it literally saved his life, like with the Heimlich. Like his face was the
Purple.
color of that mountain right behind Brian's head, dark. It was no on the
I
stream.
know.
Okay,
I know.
what's behind that backdrop you got there?
Another backdrop that I haven't set up yet, and dirty
Oh,
laundry.
oh, it sounded really dirty. Like, what do you got behind your backdrop?
That's a cool
What
backdrop
was it? I
though.
had shoot, I had something on oh, damn it. It was like nostalgia gaming. It was like when me and Gugon were playing D&D together, and Steve in basements or whatnot, one of our frequent GMs and fellow players, the candy of choice were the cream savers. They
I
were like, he would always have like the strawberry or the peach cream savers, and they were like, it was like the strawberry candy, but then it was like swirled with this, just like a,
dude, I
I don't know,
remember
just like a
those clear
sweet,
as day.
like, those were so good.
I remember the era. That was like 1998 to
Yeah,
2003. Like
yep.
right in that little era, it was like cream savers were everywhere, and it's like, are these good?
It was cream
I'm
savers
buying stock
Oh
in
yeah,
this.
and
yeah. Cream
Snapple
savers are dope.
Elementals and Sobe and Fruitopia.
Dude, I can't believe Sobe got so popular. Those bottles were weaponized.
They were. Yeah.
Jolly Ranchers.
Sugar
Jolly Ranchers were
cubes.
so good. Sugar cubes. Never just ate the sugar cubes.
Dude, I
I
like.
want. I watched a video on how to turn Jolly Ranchers into a prison shank.
Holy shit. I mean, I can
You
see
like
that. They're
you add some water to them and like let them sit and they soften up and then you can mush them together
Is it
and then
it'll
you let
harden
them
up, and
dry
yeah,
out
you
and it
could do that.
hardens back up so you got like an icicle like shiv. Like imagine being the guy who gets shivved in the lung or the heart
The,
and you have Jolly Rancher running
the,
through
la-
your bloodstream
the
killing
last
you.
thing you taste is your blood coughing up in your mouth, and you're like, is that grape? Like,
that's watermelon?
Yeah, I was gonna say
watermelon?
I'm dying. I got a shank in my heart. It's
Dude, the
watermelon.
irony of being killed by something literally called the Jolly Rancher is just. I love it.
Knockoff cream savers at Dollar Tree? I know where I'm going tomorrow.
I bet.
The problem is it'll be a bag like this big, and there'll be like 3 of them in the
6.
corner.
You're like,
Alright, I'm gonna mess up everybody's faces for just a sec.
reasons are amazing.
Just so I can get my stupid browser back over here. We're back to normal? Okay, cool. Basically, when
Just
you
put it
guys
where
talk about
Steve's
candy,
image is.
when you guys talk about candy, I'm just gonna tab over and buy it on Amazon.
Nuts.com is
That's
I had someone
make
mention
sure
that
you
at work.
make sure you spell
They're
that
like,
right.
I'm on nuts.com. Do you want anything? I'm like, dude, I don't know what that is, but you should not be visiting that website on company time. Like,
You
no, it's
don't.
candy
It
and
doesn't
stuff.
matter. You, you don't want a
I'm like, and
Hotmail incident.
exactly. Like, and you can buy pens from penisland.net, but you don't want to type that into your web browser at work. If you want to laugh, go check it out. It's a legit website. They sell pens, or they used to. They might not anymore.
Do they sell penis mightiers though?
You're sitting on a gold mine, Trebek. You selling penis might ears? I actually just somebody said that at work this past week, and I was just like, I came back with, "You selling penis might ears?" He's like, "Oh my god, dude, you know about that?" I'm like, "Yeah, I know about that." Like, it's amazingly funny. Everybody loves Celebrity Jeopardy.
Dude,
Mike's
scoot,
doing.
scoot.
Mike's scooting. Don't scoot. Go wipe your ass. Don't fucking scoot.
My secret
The
lab
old,
went to the bathroom.
the old scoot.
Oh, Emily talked in chat, so I was like, "It's the wipe. I gotta hide." I
Look
just,
out.
I just, and I just had to scoot out of view. The good news is that means 4 of our 5 viewers are like are here. What was
It
it?
is what it is. We're just hanging out. This is what we would normally be doing anyways. Just
Oh,
have
for sure.
cameras on us.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We wanted to try something different for tonight. We didn't have a game planned to play or anything like that.
Yeah, we're a little spoiled for choice with topics. There's a million and one things you can do, and deciding on one is the hardest part.
Oh god, yeah.
Also, I like candy.
They still make penguin mints?
Polar
What are
mints?
penguin? Oh,
They
polar
suck.
mints. Oh, they suck.
Dude, oh yeah, dude, you can buy a fucking 4-pound bag of polar mints.
They suck.
Oh, sweet, polar mints.
Oh, they suck.
Oh, they suck. They probably don't suck. The reality is, those were in that machine for like a dynasty. Like, those were the same polar mints that they put in there when
When they were invented,
Calvin
those are
Coolidge was the
prototype.
fucking president.
Calvin Coolidge.
I think you just made that name up.
No one's ever been named Calvin Coolidge.
Calvin and Hobbes.
What the hell is a penguin mint? You know what the best gummy on earth is, by the way? It's the fucking sharks. I mean, excluding THC gummies.
I was
Candy.
Oh yeah, yeah. They're like white on the bottom and
Yeah,
blue.
I
Pure
love,
blue.
for some reason, I love
Wait,
that the blue is like
Yeah.
opaque
yeah.
Yep.
and the white is like the other one that's not
What
opaque.
were favorite gaming snacks, whether it was console or tabletop? Like what was a preferred food or snack food whenever you were
Dude,
jamming out?
dude,
So
this
it's
pile
not
of
a.
Actually,
not
wait,
a-
come to think of it, like jamming out, it was just a jam out session or you're gaming and then like you starved and so like you're like, we're gonna take a break and get some food. Like
So it
I didn't always
wasn't a
have like
gaming
snack.
snack, but Friendly's had this drink with the shark gummies that was
Holy
like the
cow.
silliest
Yeah,
fucking shit. It was a big fucking glass with the shark gummies, and then it gave
yeah,
you an extra packet of red dye that you could pour in and add blood to
right.
the fucking
That
shark
sounds like a
tank.
disaster.
That
Like,
sounds great.
what's that called when you inhale something into your lungs, a solid into your lungs by
Aspiration.
accident? Aspiration. Like, could you imagine that? You're like sucking wicked hard on the straw, and like a great white goes in your lungs. You're like, you don't know what's in there, and the thing's festering for days, and then you go to the doctors, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you're dead. You got shark pneumonia."
I
Shark
did. I
pneumonia.
actually did just look at penguin mints on, and you guys all have to do it. Anybody watching right now or even talking, go to
What are we?
Amazon and look up penguin mints. All I'm gonna do is tell you, it looks like
Newt newt
drugs.
newt newt.
It's not newt newt. It looks like drugs. Like you're
Oh
buying a
Jesus.
small pile of drugs.
Oh, that's what those are. I bet
Drugs.
you, I guarantee those come just wrapped up in a plastic bag.
Like keep
Oh my
scrolling down.
God.
Dude, doesn't it
It's
look like a
just
pile
piles
of
of drugs.
Yes.
Piles of drugs.
That looks like
Well, I remember that no-dos used to actually, if you're a real gamer, you know what no-dos is, or a truck driver.
no dose and wash it down with a Jolt Cola.
Or a
Well,
security
Cold
guard.
anything.
no, what they actually made the caffeine pills with the mint on purpose so they couldn't be crushed and snorted
Oh, because it would like
because
make your sinuses run kind of thing.
you just can't snort that peppermint.
You know people did.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure people that are sending it up their nose can handle a little peppermint.
I just jam the whole pill right up your butt. You'd be fine.
Just a
All right.
handful.
Dude, and you fart and everybody's like, what smells so good?
S- Sounds like a spilled bag of Skittles. Oh, snacks though. Uh,
Yeah, gaming food.
dude, the most epic was when a bunch of us would all go to Sean Glancy's house every weekend, Friday after school. There'd be, anywhere from 3 of us to 8 of us all weekend, and we would
Set to
stay up.
go.
We would
Throwing dice.
stay up all night, all day, all night the next night, literally for like 3 days. From Friday, you get up, go to school at 7 in the morning, till
Mm,
Sunday in the afternoon, you would pass the fuck out. We would be up playing D&D, playing whatever. We had the Super Nintendo at the time, like we Mario Paint. What else
Pass
did we?
out. You'd pass
Yep.
out. Somebody, it'd be your character's turn in D&D. You just put the
Yep.
dice in your hand and toss it. Like
wait,
he
Steve
hits.
up. Wait, Steve, it's your turn.
Dude,
Fireball.
Fireball. That's not,
Buswell was he was the king of this. He would be the king of this. He'd be DMing, right? And he'd be like, and he'd pull the book down, and he's out. He has no idea what's going on. He's just asleep.
Did
But
you draw shit on them? Cause
We did all kinds of stuff.
All right.
We did all kinds of things. We actually, Smalley, we put the coffee table on him once.
I was just gonna say that.
We put the coffee table over him. He was asleep on the floor, and then we like poked at him till he'd wake up. And when Jay used to wake up, he'd wake up violently and start swinging. So he beat the shit out of himself underneath the coffee table. Oh, but so Glacey's parents would get us um Domino's pizzas. They were the Bigfoot pizzas. We'd each get one. A 3 liter of 3 liter of Pepsi or Mountain Dew.
I used to fuck up pineapple soda.
Yeah.
That was it was actually strangely weird. Like awesome consumerist America, fucking 3-liter bottles of soda for like 89 cents. Like,
Yep. Yep. And so then like
so
you
good.
know, 4 or 5 in the morning, we'd be upstairs in the kitchen making mac and cheese, right? Isn't that
Yep,
the food for gaming? Mac and cheese.
absolutely.
And then we always made like Saturday night, late night, we would have we'd make chocolate milkshakes with bananas in them.
Dude,
Like
that sounds
every weekend.
amazing.
Dude, it was so good.
Chocolate milkshake
So
and
good.
banana, that's half a healthy protein shake or a
Yeah.
healthy
Yeah.
shake. Like,
Well, the quantity of it that we drank made it completely
yeah.
unhealthy because it's like all the syrup and the ice cream. Yeah, that like just the smell of a
Mhm.
banana in a freaking chocolate milkshake will like instantly teleport me back to like 1992, Clancy's basement. If I
When
could smell that at the same time I smell an ashtray too. Oh yeah,
and
like
scorched
total
acromol
teleport.
plastic.
Dude, I'm gonna tell you guys this right now, and I'm not a gatekeeping type. I think gaming should be a universal language and it should be open to everyone. But you're not a proper old school gamer if you've never eaten cold pizza at 4 in the morning.
Yeah,
Because
Oh yeah.
you were talking about getting like a large to yourself, the old Bigfoot pizza,
yeah,
you were gonna finish it.
Mhm.
yeah.
It was a matter of when, not if.
Right.
Like
Yep.
and like I remember very clearly sitting there playing Spelljammer, like I was a paladin and we used the sub attributes which had like
Oh
strength
my gosh.
had
Yeah,
muscle and then the
yeah,
other
Was that
yeah,
one.
yeah.
was that skills and powers or
Yeah,
combat and tactics?
combat and tactics.
So
Combat,
I'm
yeah.
Finesse and
I'm the pilot of a ship, like the captain of a ship that's a paladin with a 20 muscle. So my max press is like 720 and
You're a holy meathead.
I just
right.
played, dude. I
Max
played him
press.
like a complete goofball. Like the dude
Holy
was
Bible.
like, imagine if He-Man had all the intellectual capacity of Stimpy, and that's and that's basically my character. And they gave that guy a spaceship. But I remember like thinking about how I wanted to fight something, and I'm just standing there, and it's like, dude, when you get that tired and your eyes start feeling heavy, and like
Yep.
you get the eyelids fluttering a little. And I remember just standing there, and somebody asked if I was okay, and I realized I'm standing in the middle of Mike Hollis's dining room, just standing in one place, looking at the wall, eating pizza, just like Blair Witch eating pizza.
You know what's good on cold pizza is mustard.
Hot sauce too.
Gross.
Hot
ranch
sauce.
dressing.
Ranch is
Mhm.
also amazing.
Ranch dressing baller on pizza.
You could drizzle ranch on in lieu of um, the standard marinara.
Yeah.
Like
White candy
if it's the
marinara.
right toppings, you rock some bacon, some grilled chicken or something on there, just drizzle a little ranch on.
Red potato
Mmm,
pizza.
now you're talking.
Yeah.
So they got sour
So
cream on it.
for
Yeah.
gaming, when shit, now I'm hungry again. Um
Dude,
when I would game
I still got these breakfast burritos I gotta get through.
when I would when we would game at Nick's, our buddy Don Shroud who frequents the channel, we he had the whole bottom half of a raised ranch, and like I'd show up and I, you know, him and I had the same snack taste, and so like I'd toss him a box of saltines, and I'd have a box to myself, all 4 sleeves, and like that was like super. We'd get pizza or Chinese food or something, but like that's always been my clutch gaming food is just saltines, just
Huh.
and then some kind of beverage.
Coffee for sure.
Oh yeah.
Coffee. gallons of
like
coffee.
triple brewed coffee for those killer sessions. Like
Yeah.
that's
Combos,
combos. Yeah,
pretzels, and cheese. How can you go wrong?
I never ever got
our
in.
burgers.
I
Those
never
are
got into
too tasty.
pretzels. Never. Like
What about combos?
combos I would fuck with at work and stuff like
Yeah.
that. They're easy ass calories. Like, oh, I'm a little hungry. But like pretzel sticks, get the fuck out of here with that old man shit. Those are good for one thing. Those are good for pretending it's a cigar. That's
Again,
it.
So
What about the
I
pretzel
love
rods, the big fucking massive ones?
That's
yeah
a
the Lincoln
cigar.
Logs. Like, so I love pretzel sticks, but the problem is that like every time I decide to have pretzel sticks, one of them is going to act like Luke Skywalker just jammed it into the Rancor's mouth, and so you go to bite down, oh, because it's
That's
jamming the
gonna
up and down.
happen.
Get away, dogs! The cat is here. Thought I closed my door. Apparently, I did not. Ellie, they've learned to open doors. Keep the cookies here.
anyway.
I watched Fight Club for the first time, and somebody's mic is hot.
Yeah, I'm shutting.
Sorry. Not now, woman. I'm on TV.
What?
No. I watched Fight Club for the first time, and the bowl
All
that
right, out.
the bowl that we had our popcorn out of was a punch bowl from like a school dance. So we filled it with popcorn and we melted 3 sticks of butter, drizzled it on there. That was, dude, it's probably why my left arm is tickling right now.
That was also a good old school snack. Was like when you had popcorn in the air popper, or even like on the stovetop in a pan.
Dude, that stuff always disappointed me. I think my parents were really horrible at the Jiffy Pop. It was like, oh yeah, no, it's all fucked up. We burnt it. It's like, we made you a bunch of
So when I was a kid,
charcoal.
like regarding Jiffy Pop, like when I was a kid, uh, like we were making Jiffy Pop and like something happened. Like I ended up poking open the foil and it messed it up because you're not supposed to do that. And I felt so bad. Like I carried that shit with me my entire life. I'm like, oh man. I'm like I think my mom just popped it in a pan normally, but I'm like, oh shit. Like I thought that was it. There was no more ever popcorn. Um, like, oh no.
Ever?
Ever. I was a kid. I didn't know. I'm like, that's that's the
Jiffy
popcorn.
Pop was rich people food though. Like the
We
whole
had
point
the
of popcorn was like you get the generic clear plastic bag
Yep.
of like 3 pounds of popcorn and
That was our
you fry that
typical.
shit up.
Yeah.
and my father would store it
That's what
in a jar with
oh,
a orange plastic lid, and then we
nice.
just had this big jar and we air pop it big time.
Air
Popping
pop
was
was
huge.
really good. You melt the butter in the top and like pour it in. But when you do it in the pan, it's so good because you can oh.
I still have a scar on my hand from burning myself making it in the pan.
What's up with the Grim Reaper over there at my other house?
That's the dog, Mike.
No,
Funny. I'm actually
That's
muting
Buttons.
myself because it's actual madness down here right now.
no, I saw her walk by in like a black hooded robe. I'm like, dude, Death is hanging out over there.
Did you see Steven come out dressed as a cat
Alright.
earlier?
I gotta
No.
get the dogs out of here.
What is Emily doing?
She's lurking on her family.
Dude, she's literally just fucking Babadooking around the fucking
Rexing.
T-Rex him. She can't reach the
the
cabinets.
Babadook. Dude, nothing creeps like that. You just walked around like an 8-bit witch. You had like 2 frames of animation. It was horrendous and terrifying. Now I'm not sleeping tonight. Great. Awesome. Is that just Tony now? She's just... What?
Yeah, everyone is down here.
What is
There's
that?
madness.
They
Oh,
don't wanna,
I saw her look. As soon as you said that, I saw her give you a look. Like,
everyone wants to guest star on TV these days. You know how it is.
it's... Well, we're going up and we're taking everybody with us, so... We're gonna be the most famous 4 guys who sit around and do nothing but talk about video games. That's a goal that you can reach.
And
That's
candy.
great.
Oh, dude.
One day we'll all be sitting up on stage at cons like this, same format.
Dude, can you imagine how idiotic that would make me feel? Like, I might feel dumb, but all you guys who want me to come out here and talk to you on stage, y'all are worse. Your taste in entertainment is questionable. Besides, without my wife around, I don't get to invoke the Babadook. I'm having a good time just what the oh, that's Imani I saw. Okay.
Yeah, they found the tubes, the fur tubes.
She apparently also found the Grim Reaper's outfit. See what I'm saying?
She graduating.
Dude, it's so weird just seeing people wander in from off screen. Like, I lived there like a month ago. Okay, sorry, that was super off topic, but that's part of the fun. You never know where this stuff's gonna go.
So we had this lull here. If we were like, if this was back in the day at the diner, about this point, Gugon would have lit one of the lamps on fire over a table at Denny's, and some of the wait staff would be yelling at us about like, "You guys can't light that on fire." We're like, "Fuck off! We need more coffee." Like, yeah, and then people get kicked out, and there's probably a fight going on at the bar. Yeah,
We used to fill the cellophane off the cigarettes.
that's
Like,
what it
fold
was,
it and fill it with the lighters,
like a paper
and then light
lantern.
it on fire, and it go. And one time it stuck to like the lampshade and
That's
like
what it
lit it
was.
on fire. Look at that dog.
He looks like a polar bear. It's just like a cotton ball with like 2 jelly beans and a gumdrop.
An actual cartoon dog.
That's
Yeah, cartoon dog.
he is so crazy photogenic.
Dude, just put a cam up. Make him number 5. Just wherever he's sitting that evening, just put a
Attach
cam
to him a collar that has
with
like a
like the
GoPro that points right at his
things.
face.
You
Or
could absolutely do that.
dude, I would love to do that. Or one that like mounts on his forehead and just points forward, so we see what he's seeing. Just like a day in
That
the life.
that could just be our Wednesday content.
You just come up with
Elmo.
a goofy voice, like an internal dialogue for him, and like narrate as he walks through the house and sniffs everything. And
I do that for my dog.
Who doesn't do that for their dog? Weird
So
people.
Sorry, the dog's cute. I can't get over it.
he's smiling. He's like,
What else might have
oh,
happened? Oh, you know what would happen at the diner for real? My friend, who will remain nameless because it's incriminating, would like to do things like take the empty soda cup that he'd been using for the evening
Mhm.
and just fill it with the biggest mess of shit he could think of. I used
Mhm.
to yell at him all the time. I'm like, what's wrong with you? Like he's like, oh, I got celery sticks in there, got dumped milk in, ketchup. I'm like, dude, somebody's gonna
Just
wash that. Like, you don't poop or you sleep. That's basic. That's how to be an animal 101, idiot. Yeah, it's gross. Young people are just an atrocity.
Speaking of cups with nasty stuff in them, no, not that. No.
Newt.
What? No. Um, like when we'd go to Bickford, we had that like glass of Pepsi, and we just kept putting salt and pepper packets in it.
Oh God.
It was like
oh
me and
man,
Mike and like some of the gaming group from what it was after whatever
Uh,
game, and it was like drink it. And nope,
no,
that was
no.
terrible.
No one wanted to drink that mess.
Nobody wanted to drink that.
I was thinking about stuff that you guys are talking about with like cabinet games came up a few times,
Yeah.
and I was thinking about none of you guys ever mentioned the Terminator 2 one. Did you guys ever play that? It was like a shooter, like a
Yes.
Hogan's
Had like the
Valley.
big gun on the.
Yeah,
The arcade
and it
shooter
was
with the
like a
giant
motor in it,
machine.
like love that thing.
That was
Me
cool.
Yeah, it
me
was
me and
different because
Clancy, yeah,
so many of the light gun games were like 6 shooters, and this one gave you a machine gun.
yeah,
Yeah.
Made you feel awesome.
yeah, and it was Terminator too. You were killing like T-800s
Yeah.
and then the best part was because you had such a good time and how many quarters you dumped into the Terminator 2 cabinet when it came out on I think it was it Super Nintendo? Might have been Genesis
Might have been.
actually. But you bought it and it was like the biggest turd ever. It was the worst game in the world.
Friggin' awful.
Yeah. It was like I think I played better Flash games on Newgrounds than
Dude, the worst I ever played was and if you want to check YouTube for this afterward, you should, was one of those stupid shooters. It's called Corpse Killer,
yeah.
and it was on I think we played it on Sega Saturn, and it was like one of the first games that used FMVs, which is full motion videos, and that was
Yeah,
super
yeah, yeah.
uncommon, and that was cool. But like the whole game was that, and then just trying to move your stupid cursor to quote unquote click on bad guys. Dude, it was so rough at that point.
Yeah.
There was a whole mess of games for a short while when those first came out, where they were just entirely made in full motion videos.
Mhm.
I think the only game genre it worked for was the Sierra Adventure games.
Yeah, Phantasmagora and what was the other one?
Also,
Gabriel Knight 2.
also
Yeah.
Night
Oh my
Trap.
gosh. Night Trap.
Oh, Night Trap. That was wasn't that one of those?
It's a fucking Tipper Gore game.
Yeah, it was the one that ended up on like the ESRB thing, like during all
Yeah.
the yeah, stupid. Well, Mortal Kombat was technically it wasn't what do they call that? Rotoscope? Where they like map the actors or whatever?
Motion capture.
Motion capture, something like that. Yeah.
But that was early. I don't even know if that was motion capture because they may have. Let me see. I'm trying to think. It was something like revolutionary, and they like digitized the actors. Like 'cause that's one of the things was the characters on the screen were actually digitized versions of the actors in costume, or something similar to that. Um, so I don't even know if that was full motion capture, but it was like an early predecessor to motion capture at the very least. It was neat.
Mortal Kombat was a phenomenon.
yeah, it was great. There was finally a
Controversial.
game.
This dude's spine out. Like, look,
Yeah.
only one guy can do that in the game. Like everybody else does, he melts skin. They'll melt skin with acid or blast you apart with sonic rings. Only one guy rips a spine out.
See,
Like,
PC gaming actually evaded all the scrutiny of the
hmm
violent games for much longer because they were not as
yeah,
mainstream. And Mortal Kombat was like one of the ones that like put it on the forefront, which was it was kind of cool because they were like, this is entertainment. Who said that we made this for kids? Kids want to
right.
play it. Guess what? Kids also want to drive your car.
You gonna let him do that? Like,
Like, be a parent. Like, government can't raise your kids. Um, but yeah, there was some pretty savage stuff on the PC already going on. Like even at that point, by the time Mortal Kombat was on consoles, because it was a cabinet game a couple years even before that. But by the time that was out, you already had like the first like Wolfenstein games.
on PC,
What was the
like,
other one that Nick mentioned the other night? Catacombs Abyss, was that it?
yep,
Yeah.
I think so.
Right. What was it? Was it Rise of the Triad? Am I thinking it
Rise of the
right?
Triad is cool. Yep,
Yeah.
that's
That was
another one. That
they
was
were
like,
all ID Soft games, right?
yep, that
Yeah.
Hexen.
was a very late ID
Yep.
Soft game.
Yeah, Hexen was I think probably or 5, but that was like that's probably one of the first video games that was like actually 3D, if I remember correctly. It was like it was like the first like
It
OpenGL or
it was either OpenGL or it did really good parallax scrolling based
yeah,
on how you were facing. Because yeah,
yeah.
everything maybe it was actually 3D.
I think it
Like,
was actually 3D because
yeah,
right around mid 90s or late 90s is when we first started seeing actual like cards dedicated to graphics, right?
yeah.
That was like when
You
you
know
had
what I
the Voodoo,
Yep.
uh
Oh, man, I had a Voodoo, I forget
Rage
which one, but I
128,
had one. The what?
Rages,
Oh my god.
Rage 128s, the original AMD cards.
Yep.
I think the Voodoos were the original NVIDIA cards, right?
No,
Oh, that was 3DFX.
3DFX.
Yep,
Yeah, 3DFX was its own thing, and then
yep,
they went away, and,
yep.
um
Yeah, a lot of the brands that we
what
think
the
of
hell?
now.
Um,
Definitely don't want to show us your butthole. Please
yeah,
don't do that.
No, it's just
um,
that's a Facebook ad somebody showed me. It's a
What happened?
it showed I covered up
Mud,
camera feed for a hot second there.
Mikey,
It's just a
here's a
flat brim.
Muds.
Oh, dude,
Chat room wants to talk about Muds.
Ah,
you know, I played. I never I did the dabbling with the muds. Sorry about the butthole hat. It's just funny. Um,
Funny because it's a hat.
it says "Show me your butthole." You buy it on Facebook Marketplace, and it comes in all your favorite colors. Uh,
like brown.
no, not like brown,
I
but
personally wasn't a mud player only because I knew about other things to get my
Right.
entertainment on. Like a lot of people who played muds, like if you think of like people like Ricardino and that crew of people that we all met through all that, those were all his mud friends, like
Yeah.
Nim and
Yeah. But I think
all of
I
them.
used tabletop
Right,
like I didn't do
mhm,
Muds because I had tabletop, but what I
right,
loved were BBS doors, specifically
yeah,
Legend of the Red Dragon.
absolutely.
Like,
Lord,
Yeah.
yeah,
Only reason I didn't get
Lord.
more into muds was because I didn't know how to access them. All the ones I
yeah.
could find, they were
Yeah.
by the time I found them, they were all the ones that I could access were all like pay to play, like
Yeah.
with large subscription fees, racking up huge AOL premium bills trying to play them.
Oh yeah, no, like
Never winter nights.
yeah, Neverwinter
Hmm.
Nights. I played that. I had a Macintosh, a Mac computer at the time where you would hold the Mac Windows something key, enter, and it would switch from being a Mac to a 386. I remember I used to play
Dude, that's badass.
Warcraft 2 on it. I'd be playing Warcraft all night and
So like out of us,
StarCraft.
Mikey's the only one with like serious mud experience.
it was kind of a mud. I played a game that was put out by a company called Semutronics, and they did Gemstone 3, and
That
they're
sounds I just want to say like Semutronics, if there was a such thing as a robot sperm bank, it would be named Semutronics.
yeah, no, you're probably right. Almost certainly right.
I don't know why, but that's what it sounds like.
They They also did a game called Dragon Realms, and that's the one I played. And unfortunately, I got my friends into that, and my friends were all dicks at the time. And my mother played that game, and let's just say the shit show I was a part of isn't my fondest gaming memory. But the game was cool. It was just a raw time sink at that point, and it taught me to type fast, I guess. But
I think
What's that go to where is what is?
I didn't get into them because I played I messed around with. I don't think I had the capacity to truly play, but like I mess around with like original Zorks, like and that's a lot like what a mud interface would be, where it's like a line of description and choose your own adventure type shit. But like once I
Text-based RPGs.
yeah, text-based RPGs. But um actually I was talking about this too. Do you remember Nicole Bryan? Her
Yeah.
dad
Yep.
her dad gave me it wasn't Croz, but that's the one that people might actually know. Kingdom of Croz. It was a whole bunch of anti graphic games where it was
Oh,
like
so nice.
it was drawn with like, all full squares
Yep.
of brown or black, and then it would like show you one room of the dungeon. You'd move your little cursor through. But it was actually a slightly earlier version where everything was done with like the actual like keyboard symbols. So the walls were
Yeah.
drawn with all zeros or
Yep.
hashtag
Like
pound signs, whatever we used to call them back in the day.
yep.
And like your character would be a big C or something, and like if you were
And
gonna fight
the
a
bat was a
bat,
lowercase b that was
little
gray or
lowercase
something.
b, yeah, yeah,
And then like you'd get the next iteration of those games was they would use the extended ANSI or extended ASCII, so like Alt
hmm
157, you could actually draw stuff.
yeah. You'd have like
Um,
a spade or hearts, and
yeah, but like early
yeah,
versions were just like raw keyboard, whatever you could just
yeah,
do with that. So
yeah. And then I think uh, I think that's when I found Might and Magic actually, which like Might and Magic, the like adventure games, like
yeah,
real early, and those are pretty good. I had a CGA, so I had to play in pink and like
cyan pink and or cyan turn
blue. Yeah, the
yeah,
bluer than your screen is right now, Brian.
yep.
Like
It was
blue
like
and pink and
cyan pink,
black and
white,
white.
black, and gray. I
Yeah.
remember one of the computers at the computer lab in high school, and yeah, high school had a EGA card in it, or a couple of
hmm
them did, so I could play ZZT on it because
Yeah.
ZZT was
I
like
love that
good,
CCT.
but it was really good if you had like EGA graphics. It was like,
Yeah.
whoa,
Yeah.
like oh
Yeah, I remember at home on my 8088, I would play like Police Quest, for example, which was like one of my favorite original Sierra games. And I played it in CGA, so only had the four colors and well, black, white,
yeah,
pink, and baby blue. Like I don't know what those are actually called, cyan, magenta, but then I got to play it on a friend of mine had a Tandy 1000 that had EGA graphics. I was like, oh my God, I need a new computer.
and thus it starts like
Yeah. Well, I actually I had an ISA expansion card that was like, I shit you not, it
beautiful.
was like 18 inches long, and it was by ATI Technologies, which is
Yeah,
what
I
AMD
remember.
became.
Yeah,
ATI
that's
was is
right. Became
it
AMD.
became AMD, and it was a 4 megabyte hard drive.
Holy shit.
Was it even megabytes? It might have been. Yeah, it was 4 megabytes. Four.
Yeah, the like
I'm
yeah,
trying
because
to
it was
think if I.
4K wouldn't be 4
Yeah,
kilobytes
yeah,
wouldn't be nearly
yeah.
enough.
It
So it's
was
probably
four
4
megabytes. I remember
megabytes.
you could, if you had like 5 1/4 double density discs, you could put
Mhm.
hundreds of them on there. But
Holy
like
shit.
nowadays,
They
that
have
would be
like the
like,
dip switches you had to adjust based on, little
yeah, yeah, yeah,
oh, this voltage and like click
yeah.
over here and here.
And that ATI card was also the CGI connector too, or CGI
Oh, cool.
CGA connector too. And it was so the whole card was a hard drive and the integrated graphics, which was called a Hercules graphics adapter.
I
And
remember
I
Hercules.
had
Yep.
that in my I had that in a computer back in like 1988, which is like way,
Hercules graphics.
yeah.
Speaking of like Sierra adventure games and all that stuff, did you have fucking boot discs for every different game just to get
Oh
them to
my
work?
gosh. Yes. Oh my gosh. I
Just a
miss boot discs.
pile
I
of
don't, but I do. Yep.
custom floppy disks with
Just
different
to load
system
like the
settings just so that each game would work properly.
Yep, and you could free up them. I remember like loading DOS in high upper memory blocks. There was like a command line, you're like bam, 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 like, and
Setting
yeah,
No,
that's what,
individual memory and video settings for
yep,
each
yeah,
game.
that's where you kept your settings pretty much.
I
Like,
had 640K on that 8088 and that card and a hard drive. So I was miles ahead of what
absolutely,
anyone else would have had back then. You would not have had an internal storage device. Everything would have been
no
disks.
discs
Um,
or tapes, discs or so
you know,
external
even
media.
even like when you flip the computer on, what did it do? It you couldn't even boot it to DOS without a disk, right?
You needed a hard drive, but actually, shit, were there?
What happened when you turned on like
Um,
a 8088 with no hard disk and no disk in
I
it?
know it.
Did
I
it go
thought
to
it had a.
basic?
I thought it had a built-in, or you had to boot the OS from an external drive. I wish Safaldi was here; he'd know.
Yeah, I
Like
can't remember. I
I
can't
can't
remember.
either, because like on my Commodore,
They
it was
used
resident in the internal memory, the operating system. So it was just basic. It was a basic shell.
Well,
I used to know the answer to this, but I don't anymore.
was
Now
that
trying
on
to remember, also
286
trying to,
time or
also
386 you're
trying to
talking
remember all
about?
the old DOS commands.
I remember them. dir/p. Look for
Yeah.
the exe, Sierra.com, or just type Sierra, enter, done.
Yep.
Or if you had a hard drive, you could do install.
It's fun because like the last job I worked at a couple of years ago, IT stuff, working with customers, walk-ins, and we'd have to transfer data, and like the Windows natively, Windows is like terrible because for file transfers, you don't know what file it's on, how much it just gives you that blah. So I'd open up the command prompt and use all the old DOS commands to transfer files because it'll show you individual file progress.
Yeah.
And like it was neat because that shit is still relevant. Like even though it's not even DOS, it's a PowerShell.
Yeah,
Um,
it's just
but those
someone
commands are
yeah.
still there and like they work. Um, and it's neat. Like you don't forget those. Like the muscle memory is just like and it's like
Mhm.
just there we go.
The data storage for gamers has been a weird thing. I mean, you guys in the old PC talk, you got me way out of my element with that, so I don't have a whole lot to add. But uh, it's important to note how quickly that stuff changes too, right? Because
Real fast.
I remember buying the Burning Crusade, World of Warcraft's first significant expansion, and I mean, it was their first expansion period, and I think it was like 6 discs to
Mhm.
install. That wasn't that long ago. Like,
I remember I was playing EverQuest 2 at the time, and I was chilling up in Coventry with you and Jeff and somebody else. It might have even it wasn't Brian. It was you, it was Mike, Jeff, somebody else. But we all decided like I came up there and you guys were playing WoW, and it was the first time I'd seen it. This was like the day it came out, like Thursday afternoon. I'm up at Coventry and they've got all their computers up, and I show up there because like we're gonna get ready to like have a Battlefield 1942 like
Yeah,
LAN party
LAN
that night,
party.
and I'm watching you guys play, and I'm like, you guys are like trying to convince me to just come play it. And I'm like, well, I already pay a sub for EverQuest 2 and I just bought it like 2 months ago.
quit
And I'm
that
like,
shit.
I don't, yeah. So, and then I was like, all right, fuck it. Let me go get my computer. I'll bring it up here. And yeah, it was like the original game was like 5 CDs. I was like, what? It took forever. And then once you installed it, you still had
Hit
to
a
patch
patch.
it. And I think back then what do you have, DSL, if that?
Hmm.
Yeah,
That
most
sucked.
people were on DSL.
That was like
Yeah.
fucking Star Wars Galaxies, dude. 4 disc install,
Mm-hmm.
patch, and then wait for the servers. We were up all night waiting to connect.
Yep.
Just in a
The companies still
queue,
haven't mastered that yet.
right?
Look at even WoW Classic launch, what a nightmare.
Look at New World, and and that's the thing. It's hosted on like Amazon Web Service servers. It's their own shit, and they're
Yeah.
like, nope, over capacity. Like, dude, just flick a light switch, and like 80 more will turn on. You're good.
Yeah,
Like,
like,
you
I
own
gotta,
this.
like,
How can
figure out a place to put the Foundry VTT, server, and everyone's like, "Oh, put it on AWS," and I'm just like, they can't even handle their own MMO. Like,
right?
I
It's
gotta
their
put my
own stuff. It's their own software running on their own hardware from their own network
yeah,
and their own web servers, and it
yeah,
still falls apart. It's
yeah.
like, you know what? Just stick to fucking books.
I mean,
Books and dick rockets. Don't
in
touch games ever again.
in
Like let's
fairness, I don't think New World offers anything to, like, the WoW player that they wouldn't get from, like, Arc or something like that. It's just kinda like
yeah.
a combination. So I don't think they were expecting the influx other than the fact that, like, WoW kinda, like, took a nosedive over the summer because of all the bullshit.
Let's be honest though, the internet as a whole is held together with duct tape and
Mhm,
bubble
Yeah,
gum and
it
string.
really is.
mhm.
The
It's
So flimsy.
They knew New World was going to be big. They paid streamers
Yeah.
to beta it.
Yeah, but
They threw Amazon money at it. They couldn't miss. Whether or not they can keep the momentum
wait,
going, but
Amazon like Jeff Bezos money or Amazon like I work at Amazon money?
no, it's big Jeff money. We know they don't take care of their employees properly, but Jeff gets to go up in space
Well, maybe
because
he could bring up some satellites up there to run New World off of satellite servers.
maybe he could while he's
Starlink,
up there he could find some
just stay.
It's
yeah,
it's
find some
it's
better
not even
wages to
like
pay his people.
it's not even space. It's
No,
technically space. It's not
it's high
actual space.
atmosphere.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, he still had to go through the G's and everything, right? Like,
yeah. Still shot up in a rocket. Like, let's
it's
face
still.
it. Like,
I mean, like, I'm not gonna hate on him. That's dope. I'd love to do that. I'm
Oh
terrified
yeah.
of heights. I don't like being on planes. In fact,
there's nothing up there that.
one of the most mortifying things in my life was when we were doing a layover, and I'm in Dublin. We're going over to Heathrow in London. So from Dublin to Heathrow, we took a prop plane. It's like
Nice.
I'm not a
Yep.
physics major.
You got like a little Embraer turboprop or something like.
Yeah, it was. It
Yeah.
was an Embraer for sure, and it was like, and they put me on, of course, naturally, because this is the Truman Show. Everybody knows it. They put me at the window next to the wing. It's like, do you see that grown-up ass pinwheel over there? That's gonna get you across some water. And this big ass hot dog that weighs as much as
Like
like 15 elephants. No, like 150 elephants.
yep.
Oh
Those
man.
are and yeah, turboprops are fun.
It actually was a super smooth
Uh,
ride.
It
Like,
was, but it's everything about flying is so pronounced in it. Like
oh
I
yeah,
had the same
yeah.
thing. I had a connecting flight and it was like 90 minutes on one of those and it's just like holy cow, you just feel everything. And I love flying. It's great.
Feel the
But it's like,
drops and stuff.
Dude, I'm
you
telling
know,
you. Oh, the whole reason I mentioned any of that is because
that's flying.
I'm
Like that's because
petrified of
it's
flight.
propellers and cables. Like
Yeah,
that's flying.
okay, Dad.
No, that's
Okay.
know,
Okay, Mr. Man, Mr. Old Man.
it's like it's akin to like the muscle cars where
Yeah, no,
they're
I feel
just
you. I
raw
do.
mechanical. Like
Yeah, but I don't want it to be raw mechanical. That's horrendous. That's a nightmare. I want it to be as safe and automated by robots as possible. I don't want that alcoholic pilot crashing my ass into the ocean.
right, but here's the thing. Here's the thing is like when you get code involved, um, one wrong keystroke, and then if something doesn't like if all the backups and the software don't catch it, like I don't know.
Oops, I put a semicolon in the wrong
Granted,
place.
like
Now you die.
invalid code is not going to make it into production. But like software is just crazy. Like
Dude, I've spoken to
so many
pilots, man.
variables.
I've
It's
spoken to
scary.
pilots, read about it. Like the amount of the
Takeoff and
standard.
landing are the most
Yeah,
dangerous.
yeah, yeah. But the amount of automation on those commercial flights is shocking.
Yeah.
The amount of stuff that they don't have to do. Basically, they take off. They handle takeoff for the most part. It gets up into the air, and BD, hello BD. It gets off into the dog over there. Um, and then it's just let go.
Yeah. Very impressive.
And landing is a little sketchy too. Dude, the first time I flew as an adult, I was so petrified because I'm just like I don't like being in the passenger seat of a car if I'm not driving. So we're gonna go do
Yeah.
500 miles an hour halfway to space, like
And then we're gonna go from like 150 miles an hour like to like zero in like a very short distance for something that weighs as much as it does.
well, look at
Like
the acceleration. We're like, as soon as they hit the thrusters, like, dude, we went to Germany in one of those big Emirates style Boeings.
Airbus or the big 747, like the huge
It's double decker, 2 floors,
yeah.
and That plane is monstrous. It's the size of a small town, and
Mhm.
when you're doing takeoff and they hit the boost,
You're like,
when the NOS kicks in, you're
The
you're like, dude, it's
floorboards
mind-boggling
pop off.
when you realize how they accelerate that, like something
Mhm.
that big that quickly. The thrust required is just. We have a guy
it's
in the
cool.
guild who's a fighter pilot.
That's cool. That's
I won't drop
freaking
his name
awesome.
because like I probably
Right.
shouldn't, but yeah, shout out to
That's cool.
that guy who
Shout
shows
out to
up and
Guildmate.
guildmate who shows up and stabs things with weapons sometimes, or is occasionally a bear, because that job is awesome, dude. You want to hear something funny? They're allowed to have their phones with them. I think F-35, I think is, or F-15. I don't remember. It's an F. He flies an F, and
For
you're
all
all
that.
when you're
Unless
F-22.
they're attacked, then they're
yeah,
A's. But
it's a something 5. It's a something 5, but it's a 1-5 or a
35 or
3-5.
There's a weird question.
135.
Would your
35.
cell phone signal even work when you're traveling that fucking fast?
Well, fun fact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're
I mean, they're
swapping.
No.
radio.
You're not using it like that, but it would work.
It would. Yeah, it's
Selfies.
radio. I mean, your Wi-Fi is going to connect like wicked fast and drop. Like, no.
No, he did
That
that.
Um,
that's what I was talking about. Your signal's going to keep jumping from tower to tower and signal to signal so fast. It's not going to be able to actually
Well,
do
I
anything.
think for pilots, I think like with modern technology, I think they can use like a data link and probably just, essentially turn on their Bluetooth, use like a data link in the plane to bounce it off of like
Yeah, almost certainly.
satellites or whatever. And like, can you imagine that? Like, yeah, my
They
Bluetooth, my Bluetooth is my fighter
Starlink.
jet.
dude, he did a video that was like a selfie, like the phone is out in front of him, and he showed us the takeoff
Yeah,
facing backwards.
that's
So
got to be cool.
you can see the speed because he hits the thrusters, and it's just like, was it F-15? Thank you. It was one of the two, and then
That
all of a sudden the
oh,
angle
that's
changes, and
is
everything
straight up.
goes away. Yeah, it's just
Yep.
like, look at those were
Yeah.
trees, and now they're pixels. So it's like, dude, that's so insane.
Yeah, right.
It's like we have a heart surgeon in the guild who has the second coolest job. And like, like how did that happen?
Right.
Shout out to SweatX. I'd love to have him on the show. So we can learn
What a
history.
show that would be. Bring on Sweat, right? And have him talk and be like, and this is the second most interesting guy in our guild, and
Oh,
then
I didn't
bring
say
on the
that. He
other
has the
guy,
second most
like
interesting job.
job.
Sweat
Right.
is a fun character. He's just he's a heck of a guy. Dr.
You
Sweat.
know the Top Gun game on NES was just like that. So
Fun fact:
That was
if you can land that plane in the NES game, you probably could learn to land the actual thing.
there
Like,
was another.
it's probably
I had a
easier.
I had a flight sim. It was called like ATF, Advanced Tactical Fighter, and it was all about like the stealth fighter, and it was actually like pretty decent. Like
when
you
was
didn't
that?
have to.
Like era? What era game? How far
Nintendo. It
back?
was on the NES.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
My neighbor down the street had Red Baron, which was actually a Dynamix game, but Dynamix was also part of Sierra, and that game
Yeah.
wasn't awful. Dynamix made like Willie Beamish, I think, in those games later on.
Dude,
Rise of the Dragon.
Yeah, Rise of the Dragon.
gaming was the fucking Wild West back then. It's not like now where it's like you're getting a game from an indie developer or one of the big ones. Like at
Yeah.
that time, it was a brawl.
Well, it was the Wild West is a good way to put it, even though it's kind of like a trope, I guess. But because of what happened in the '80s with Atari and all that shit, it was a mess. No one wanted to collaborate, so it
Yeah.
took it took so long for even that dynamic exists today. I mean, we're only now starting. Think about it. 20 years ago, if you wanted to play Resident Evil, you had to have a PlayStation. If you wanted to play, well, I think Halo probably is still like exclusive,
Xbox,
right?
well, it's on PC, but I
Right.
don't think it's on PlayStation. There would be lawsuits up like for
Yeah.
Out
that
the
one,
ass.
right?
Sony's notorious for it. So is Square Enix, right? But they're finally catching on that, like,
Mhm.
you
They can
know,
just they can just give it like get it in a like their audience isn't confined to their platform of choice. It's like, we love like I love Final Fantasy 1 and like, okay, here it is on PC. Here, you can get it on Xbox. We can overlook that because like it's not like a current AAA, cash cow and like
Larger
he,
player base means more sales.
yep.
yeah,
That's
well,
basic math.
here's another thing too, like a lot of stuff that happened back in the 80s that like isn't like commonly known would be like the fact that like you could get uh systems that would run Atari games that were not Ataris. Like that was a thing. Like
Yep.
it was like it was there was no way to like I don't know or whatever the copyright of the device. So like there was a company called Coleco. They made the Intellivision. They actually before they went bankrupt, they actually had a machine that would play all the 2600, 5800, 7800 cartridges for Atari. Like it wasn't an Atari. It was an Intellivision. And it was like that was kind of a line to get crossed, right? You're like, okay, that'd be like me going, I'm gonna make something that'll play all the PlayStation games, but I'm not gonna have any part of like that system. You know what I mean? Super sketchy. But there was a lot of companies that did shit like that.
It's
Uh,
just. I'm sorry about
Coleco
that.
also made Cabbage Patch Dolls too.
I can't believe that exclusivity is still something that game companies are debating. Gamers don't like it. If you're listening, I
I can
realize we're a very small subsection of gamers right here in this channel. Gamers don't like it as an experience. I don't
I
want to
can
have to
see like
download. I don't want to have to download Steam, which I respect, and all these other proprietary ones
yeah.
Yeah, we
where
were
I
just talking about that the other day.
where I can't buy. Remember Borderlands 3? I had
Oh,
to
on Epic,
install.
right?
I had to install the Epic thing. I'm happy to give them my money to buy the game. Don't make me
Hmm.
install 15 different launchers.
Right,
Yeah.
give me a Steam code. Like I'll pay your retail price. Just
Get
let me
over it.
let me launch it on Steam. Like
Get over it, EA. Origin didn't work out.
no, it didn't.
You're lucky Steam took you back.
Yeah, I just Borderlands 3. I just waited for it to be on Steam because I didn't want to deal with that shit.
Fortunately, I never had any motion towards Borderlands, so I just didn't even bother. Still haven't.
I had a lot of fun with it on the
A lot of fun.
360. I played Borderlands 2 with some of my old tabletop group, and like it was a lot of fun. We did the whole campaign co-op, like start to end.
Have you guys seen the new uh spin-off, the Tiny Tina's game, the Dungeons and Dragons spin-off?
Wait, what?
Oh yeah.
Wait a
The
minute.
Oh,
tiny
did you
the
say
con
Tiny Tina or Tiny
yeah,
Penis?
Tiny
Because I
Tina.
Tina.
definitely thought I heard Tiny
You
Penis.
definitely
Her
said tiny penis.
all of
Yeah,
her
I
content
heard
is
Tiny Penis.
all of Tiny Tina's content is like D&D related
Yeah,
or similar. It's neat.
yeah. That I actually
Well,
watched Gary play through that. It was pretty fun
they're doing an entire game based on that Borderlands 2 DLC.
Well, of course they are.
because it's
Gear,
sold.
yeah,
Yeah,
Gearbox, Gearbox, and is Randy Pitchford still in charge over there?
no idea.
After they found the flash drive that he left behind with the explicit material he shouldn't have had.
Oh.
He left it. Dude, he left it on a table at a restaurant. but it was like one of those restaurants where people duel, like they joust in it, and you can throw all your chicken bones and shit on the floor.
What?
Dude, I'm serious. I'm not making any of this up. You never seen
What
any of
the
those
hell?
restaurants? Like medieval
No.
times?
Like, yeah. Oh,
Oh.
okay. Medieval
Yeah, they
times.
have knights. No, they're just
Yeah.
regular ass grown men right off the street coming in joust. No. They have actors doing it, and they fight in the middle, and just please, it's all spectacle. And then you can just be a barbarian, and like you finish your chicken and just yeet the chicken bone like some kind of child. Like, so yeah,
No.
that's
I didn't
Texas
get the
Roadhouse.
chicken bone thing. When you said chicken bones, I was like, what the fuck does chicken bones have to do with jousting? I was so confused.
No, it's just like you get to act like a savage.
Yeah, you get to be like a Baratheon. Well, Robert Baratheon. The other Baratheons were not fun at all. Well, at least one of them wasn't fun. He was real sour / dour. Yeah, that was some shit though, but
You know, whatever Gearbox can do to keep making money, and I say that as a fan of their games, and in infinite support or as much support as possible of their workers. But yeah, I'm reading about the litigation right now. Sorry, I don't want to speak out of my, I don't want to speak out of line here.
with Brian, let's play Zuma.
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 You just played
Zuma.
that the other night.
Yeah, I've pulled it out a few times. Just didn't age well.
The frog game?
Yep.
Yeah, you shoot the
Oh,
marbles.
pass.
No, that game's awesome.
What?
It is.
Zuma
Great to
2, you
just
get the
kill.
ones where you got like two things you got to do, 2
Oh,
lines.
two tracks that are coming
Yeah,
in.
and
Like,
you
yeah,
got
Zuma's Revenge. Ugh. Yep.
yeah, game's dope.
You get into a good zone every now and then, though, and you just like make serious progress. And then other times you're like, nope, you're just continuously shooting the wrong color at the wrong
Zuma's one of
place.
those games though where you start to play it and you either keep playing it until you're done, because as soon as you shut it off, you're not coming back to it,
Right.
right? It's weird. It's like if you try to play Plants vs Zombies, like another PopCap game. Like I will just sit there for 3 hours straight. No, playing freaking Plants vs
Yep.
Zombie. As soon as I put it down, I'm done with it. I don't touch it again for 3 years. The same with my Kingdom Rush games too. Once I get started on those, they just suck me in.
Yeah, Zuma definitely does that for me.
Dude, you want to get sucked into a cool game that's, I think it's probably still pretty cheap on Steam. It's called Mini Motorways. You ever play that?
No,
Oh my
that
god, it's
sounds
so
cool.
good. It's so good. It's stupid. It's like little, you gotta like build roads and like make things go around, different colored cars, and got houses and buildings. It's
Oh, that's
neat.
super easy. Super easy graphics, like super nice
It's
art style.
it's one of those games where at first glance you're like, oh, I get it. Seems easy. But then when you really start getting to the meta, you realize how complex it is and how crazy it is. I was killing it in that game for a little while.
That's cool.
And then you see the ridiculous scores that these people get, and you're just like, yeah, that's not a human. They cheated.
Yeah, I went down the rabbit hole of that lawsuit I was talking about, and so how is it to say? I'm just gonna let that all go. Anybody curious can just Google it themselves. That is not upbeat topic.
No,
No. That I
good.
think is an ongoing lawsuit. So like, I realize that nobody's gonna notice us, but like, I don't want to get us in trouble.
So it's kind of like there's enough bullshit that surrounds gaming as it goes on, like focusing on that dumb shit. I mean, obviously, like Blizzard shitty and all that went on last summer or whatever, but like,
Blizzard's not even the only one. Like
right,
far from it.
it's the whole industry. I mean, it seems weird, but it's probably pretty male dominated for quite a long time, right?
Still is.
So, um,
It's definitely still is.
let's put it this way: if you were a girl growing up in the 1980s and you told your parents that you were going to be a programmer, I'm not sure what that laugh sounds like, but I'm pretty sure it's the same one that they would give you if you told them you didn't want Barbies.
Yeah, I mean, our parents were not as progressive as parents are now. That's for sure.
They were stagnant.
Yeah, like, oh, I want to be you're a young woman and you want to be a mechanic. Your parents are going to be like, get out of my house.
Yeah.
Like, it just wasn't as accepting. So, luckily, the Gen Z is coming up, and we have a lot of
Yeah, for sure.
talented women in the industry coming up. So, we should be getting some. I mean, I
And
think
where
we'll over time we're going to feel the effects of that shift from it being a boys' club to being a little bit more well-rounded.
Yeah, and where would we be without people like fucking Roberta Williams?
She's. I hated King's Quest. I'm sorry.
We wouldn't have any
I mean,
Sierra Adventure game without her,
I
though.
I know that.
Regardless,
I know that. I know that. Like, what did they own before? Their company did something completely boring and mundane before.
yeah,
She decided to start writing. Uh,
video
convinced.
games. It's
What the hell
convinced
was
her
the
heart.
husband's name? Ken Williams.
10. Yeah,
Yeah,
and they just
convinced him to start doing that stuff.
yeah, I mean, obviously, yeah, I don't know how it's gonna go in the future, but I think hopefully we're moving in the right direction. Sending out scumbags like the brass at Blizzard that had to go, and I mean, Ubisoft got off relatively scot-free, even though their lawsuit was almost identical as far as I understand it. So they're just continuing to do business just as normal. People forgot. So that needs to not happen. We need to keep taking people to task for their fuck ups. Just there needs to be some accountability. You can't just fire an executive and call it even.
That's old school business.
Yeah, it's time for the new school.
yeah, they just fire the CEO. He goes works at another company that just fired their CEO, and their CEO comes over and works with them. And they just
Yeah,
toss them back and forth like the Catholic Church does with bishops.
Well,
shufflecocks. Shufflecocks. That's what we call that when they do it with the
fortunately,
priests.
ActiBliz did the right thing, and Blizzard's leadership now is it's actually shared duty. It's a it's a woman and a man. Uh, Mike Ibarra, and who was an executive at Xbox, I think, for quite a while, and he co-runs Blizzard. And what's cool about that, uh, he plays it too. He plays WoW a lot. Like he streams, and you can go watch him do Mythic plus 20s and stuff like that. Like the guy actually can play, and his sorry, I got everything I'm trying to Google to get the information on on this woman is Bobby Kotick. I'm like, I don't. That's not what I want. I don't want Bobby. No, it's not J. Allen Brack. I promise. This is awful. Why do they
Damn
make this
you,
so
Google.
difficult? Jen O'Neill. That's her name. I'm sorry. I should. Can't believe I didn't remember. I'm like, it's like a super normal, regular name, but they co-leading Blizzard. Hopefully, it just leads to the start of something better at the company. Not like back in my day.
My day, back in my day,
Which is a full circle trip back to the topic.
we had to log into BattleNet through dial-up.
Hope your
Here,
sister didn't need to use the phone while you were
yeah,
in the middle of a match.
That
Steve, you
was
had actually, speaking of old school BattleNet, you had mentioned something either last week or Wednesday about no, Wednesday you were off, but
Yeah.
one of the streams you talked about not being able to like join into a StarCraft LAN. And I was thinking about something that people probably forgot too, and this
Oh
goes to
yeah.
tell you how companies had changed was you used to be able to buy uh like a copy of Diablo, a copy of StarCraft, a copy of Warcraft 2, Warcraft, and you could make what were called spawns or what the hell is they use another term for them, but you could spawn a copy of the game. So
Yeah.
you would you'd 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 be able to install on like 6 machines
And then
and
you
be able to
but
like there was like they encouraged it. Nowadays it's like they don't want you to install you know Heroes of the Storm on your tablet and then try to put it on your phone. You don't want you to buy all the heroes over again. It's
right.
like it was a different time. It was nicer, I
it was
guess.
it was like let's, I don't think I'd ever get it twisted.
Spawn installation.
Yeah,
That's what it
I,
was.
I remember
Spawn
doing that shit
installation.
with friends. So I think the fundamental point here is in gaming, not unlike anything else, despite what your parents might tell you. It's not like we had it better coming up or really had it
No.
worse. It was just different. It's a whole different world.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was something we had to do in private. It was something that you didn't share with everybody at school, but that meant it was yours.
I
Yeah.
think
It
it's
was
I
it was something that you did, and your adventures in Super Mario World were they meant a lot to you then because it wasn't something that the whole world had.
That's true. That is very true.
also I think a lot of people put a lot more effort and time forward into individual things because there was the lack of choice back then. So like when your mom brought you to Kmart on your birthday to pick out your new Nintendo game, right? You you fucking better pick the right game
Yep.
because you
Yep.
knew you had 6 to 800 hours of that game over the next few months,
Yep.
and that's all you were gonna
It
play.
wouldn't
So
matter
you better,
if it was bad.
yep,
I'm still
that's
playing it. I'm playing the shit out of it.
yep. I did that with Dash Galaxy and the Alien Asylum. I hated that game,
I
but
talked
I
about this
played the
a
shit
couple
out
weeks
of it.
ago.
Did you?
Fucking Adventure Island.
Oh yeah,
Bought that
I do remember
bought
that.
that
Yeah,
game, fucking hated it, but you know what? I still played the shit out of it because it's
yeah.
what I bought, and
When I bought my Nintendo, I bought it with my own money. My parents were not the type of people to buy uh gaming consoles and things like that, but I bought it with my own money that I earned from shoveling and snow blowing snow with my dad's company growing up, and I also bought it with Metal Gear. So my two first games were like Super Mario and Duck Hunt, and the first original Metal Gear. So
That
it was a good mix because Metal Gear was like a type of game where like it was
it just sit
completely
and
different than a
think and
side
figure
scroller.
shit out. Like,
I think it probably took me most of the first day to figure out how to use the binoculars to spot the guards on the first fucking like
oh yeah,
first
you had to like
fucking area.
select them and then move the cursor off the screen.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
what?
So you could
Not
spot the
intuitive.
guards and then
Dude,
look out for the dogs. You had to run through that
Yep.
one screen with all the
Oh my
Dobermans
god.
ready to
Woof,
dude,
fucking
woof,
eat your
woof.
ass.
speaking of older games that like I mean we're spoiled now. There's no going back. I'm telling you, I played Bushido Blade 2, which we'll talk
Love
about again,
Bushido
I'm
Blade.
sure, because it's my favorite fighting game of all time.
I love that series. First and second one were great.
Like
Hmm.
it was just such a action. It was a unique concept in an era that wasn't doing unique. Everything
Nope.
was a tank controlled Resident Evil. They're
Hmm.
like, hey, we can do 3D environments now, so everyone's gonna do it for no reason. Like this game takes like what was the Sonic game that came out actually somewhat recently that was it Sonic 2016? The one that took place like had RPG elements and it was in a city and Sonic was the only creature around that like him and his friends, like everybody else was a regular human and Sonic was just integrated into their world somehow and it was
Was
like
that the movie? Was that shit show of the movie?
no, it's a game. But like
Wow,
just everything has to be now an open world 3D
I hate that.
environment. And then I promise it doesn't. So at that time, all games were like that. Bushido Blade was something actually different. Like if you hit somebody
Yeah,
in a place that kills people, they
Mhm.
die
they
of
die.
it.
Yeah, you didn't
So
have
did
a health
you.
bar. It was,
hmm
You could get limbs disabled.
yeah,
There was a couple maps in the first one I loved because when you would swing and the arc hit like the bamboo, the trees would like do the slide fall. Remember that?
Yeah, they do the second game
The
too.
bamboo
Yeah,
forest
so
was
love
amazing.
that.
So
there's
Love that.
a
cinematic.
there's a coming soon game on Steam called Die by the Blade, and it's definitely inspired by Bushido Blade. So I just Googled like
Oh,
Bushido
the
Blade for
whole reason I
PC.
mentioned it in the first place. Sorry, I had an old man moment. The reason I mentioned it in the first place is because I played Street Fighter V, which is cool. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. Um, I used to be a huge fighting game player back in the older days. I haven't touched it in a while, but I decided to see how Street Fighter's doing, and it looks fantastic and it plays good. Okay, cool. I'm gonna go play Bushido Blade. So I don't own it anymore. Full disclosure, uh, but I have like twice. I think I bought that game twice. I don't know where it is, but like I just fired it up on an emulator to try it out and see like kind of just take that trip down memory lane. Don't do it.
Yeah,
Just we're
don't
so
ruin your
spoiled.
heroes
No, that's true. It's true, 100%. If
like
you
classic WoW.
don't don't yeah, don't go back and do it. Just it'll taint the memory of what you have. Like just have that experience in your back pocket, in your mind, keep it and move forward. You can't don't try to go back because your favorite games from back in the day looked like dog shit. I hate to tell you.
They
Like
were.
like GoldenEye on N64,
Oh,
awful. It looks miserable.
yeah,
You might have had the best time of your life playing it, but don't do it.
yeah. If you do it properly, uh, you can rekindle it. So one of the big things about playing old console games is trying to get a CRT to actually play them on because there's just something about monitors that won't translate well, and the fidelity that you get from a computer monitor literally ruins any of the old shitty graphics that we used to have. So
I mean, if you're not concerned about graphics, then go nuts. Some of the
next,
fundamentals still hold up. Like play old beat 'em ups, like the Ninja Turtles games. Not the first one that was everybody's nightmare, but like the beat 'em up arcade style ones. The
Yeah.
controls are perfect. It's like it plays so good. It looks 8-bit.
yeah. Well, next time you're driving down the road and you see a Sony Wega 32-inch freaking CRT TV out on someone's s- curb to go to the dump, go get a friend,
Rescue it.
go get a friend, go pick that thing up,
Some
600
of the
pounds.
some of the some of the
Get it
like
in your basement
some of
so that
the
way you can revisit the actual consoles.
like on Steam, there's emulator bundles, and some of the emulator software, it'll run the raw, or it'll, adjust it, and it has like 3 to 5. Some of them have between like 3 and 5 layers of adjustment where you can like just make it look like it should on my
Yeah, yeah.
screen, or you can have it like, smooth out the edges and stuff, and it gives it like in some games it gives it like a much better, cleaner look, and so it's like that's passable. Like it's like, okay, that's it. It's not fully modern graphics, but um,
I
it's a
posted a
lot.
picture. I posted a picture in one of the gaming groups, I think on Facebook, for that I found on Reddit that showed a picture of cloud on Final Fantasy VII on your CRT versus what it
Yeah.
actually looked like on an emulator on a monitor, and it was like ugh. But on the CRT, it looked right
Looks
because
awesome.
you'd have a pixel every pixel had a black border, so it like
Yeah.
created depth.
And then
Weird.
the curve of the glass also helped with that too, because you were
Mm-hmm.
seeing a curved image or the
Mm-hmm.
projected
They were
on.
designed
So
for that. They weren't designed for the
Mhm.
monitors that we have today, so they don't
Yeah.
quite look
They
right.
weren't I think even if you like put it on an old 1024 768 monitor, it would
It
still
still
look like
wouldn't,
shit.
like a CRT is the way to go because
Yeah.
it has that depth that you can't, like, you have to replicate it with software
Yeah.
on an LCD.
Yeah.
Um,
Dude, if I get an NES emulator, you're talking about levels of adjustment. I don't want any, like, I want it to look as crappy as possible. You guys remember playing like
dude,
Castlevania 3, and
I
like,
tell you what,
dude,
like,
in the backdrop has like the bricks and the supposed to be like ivy and stuff like that,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
you're not sure if some of those blocks are just glitches.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
is this even a background? Trevor Belmont is just a brown blob. Like, there's nothing happening. That like dude, it was so good, so bad, but so good.
Mhm.
Yeah, but a lot of speedrunners too, like Josh is talking about. A lot of speedrunners will use CRTs just because their response time, something about yada yada frame rates.
so when's our do we want to set a tentative midweek broadcast date or like stream
We're gonna
date
be
since we're not
going
going to do Wednesday coming up?
like tonight was a little bit of an experiment. We went really free form with it, and I'm not so sure we're gonna stick with that. We'll have to talk about it based on some feedback and what you guys have to say. This kind of went off the rails a few times.
Yeah.
We felt a
Yeah.
little bit it felt a little disconnected. So maybe next time we'll try and stick to a more defined topic.
Yeah, even if we had just get an outline or something.
Hmm
We're gonna hammer on these 5 questions during the stream or whatever.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, okay, I'll try to keep the action moving in a productive way that's still engaging.
Yeah.
So with that said, as far as a weekday schedule goes, like I said, I'm not going to be available Wednesdays. Doesn't mean there's nothing happening. So stay tuned, I suppose, on that front. But as far as when we would get together and play other games, which used to be Wednesday, we're gonna. I mean, we'll let you know. We have to figure out everybody's schedules and see what works for folks. But I'm not sure yet. I don't have a lot of information yet. We haven't really talked about it, so I don't want to say something and have it go on record. Oh, that's a, I forgot that was still there. Great, Odin's Raven. Yeah, and you could tell, like, if we're being critical about our own production at all, there was more dead air this time because I think we lacked that direction that a topic gives. So there was just like, what other old people
We
things
just
do I
won't.
remember?
Yeah, I mean we
We
started
turned on
bouncing.
sandbox mode.
Yeah.
Like,
We when we'd take tangents that dead ended and then we'd have to back up to
Circle back to
what were what were
yeah,
we talking about before we went on that tangent, like the whole candy tangent and then the
and
whole
then
like, whatever.
Candy Island.
Candy
Candy
Island.
Island.
It's a lot easier to refocus when we have a clearly defined topic, even if we go off on
Yeah.
Yeah, I
wild
mean, like
tangents.
last week we did the top 10 SNES games as agreed by us, and that was fun. The way that format worked is we basically sat around for an hour before we came on, and just like we each wrote our own like top 15 games and then compared them, and like games that were on everybody's list were up near the top, and then like we went from there. We talked about it. We put together something we largely agreed on, and then we could stand behind it and present it in a way um, that was interesting, and we had memories with it. This was a little bit, like I said, it was an experiment. I don't think I liked it personally, like as a to be a part of. It's just it wasn't as entertaining to create. I don't know how the other guys feel about it, but
Yeah, it's a work in progress.
Yeah, this is only
a
episode
hangout.
4.
It's a hangout. I was kind of like more attached to it this time, I guess. Like more of a part of it than just a wake up from your nap and come get on stream. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do this with you guys.
Do this.
So
What is that? Is that a stuffed animal or is that your dog?
That's a stuffed Shiba Inu somebody got me.
Okay.
So he sits under my monitor, just literally blocking like the little Windows taskbar down there with this little head. So thanks for coming out, everybody at home or at work or wherever. We're gonna keep getting better and making this more fun for all of us.
how do we have the most viewers now as we're signing off?
No, it actually spiked up. I like that's
Weird.
kind of why sometimes you'll see me, and I like the on-air reflection because it's a connection thing for me, like talking
Yeah.
to people who are watching. It's like I'm watching so much stuff. Like I'm doing fact checking in this window. Just before, like I'm gonna say something, I want to make sure I'm not saying some idiot shit. So I'm over here fact checking. And I gotta watch this to make sure nothing goes wrong. I don't think anything go wrong with this is OBS I'm pointing at now. If I don't touch that, I think it stays okay. But but it has chat on one side and number of viewers and stuff, so I'm keeping an eye on that. I gotta keep an eye on Discord.
Is it broke? Yes. Did you do it? Yes. You dumb bastard.
You dumb bastard. So no, it spiked. See, there it is again. Spiked up to 9 on my OBS.
Weird.
Which is, and it's just people. You can see on my end, I can see stream chat. Because I was really terrified that we were going to have like 3 or 4 people just join right away, like all at once. I thought we were going to deal with some of the nonsense. And even though I'm getting a check from Twitch now,
I'm pretty sure the check costs more than the amount on the check.
It for sure does. But even though I'm technically an independent contractor, Twitch needs to do better about that stuff. I just want to go on record. Like stop letting people of color or other marginalized groups be bullied off your platform.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's it for us. It's gonna do it. You guys want to say goodnight? Now's your time.
Nope.
Bye, Billy.
Well,
Go
now
smoke
that
Night, everybody.
cigarettes.
Cigarettes.
you don't have to say bye, dear. You're sitting literally.
She's shaking a leg. See it.
Okay, bye.
She's foot waggling.
She do be doing that.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us, everyone.
That's our outro.
We appreciate your time.
Our outro card is just Emmy in the background.
Judging me. All right.
Slowly zooms in on her foot, shaking.
We out.